What's up guys, Chasing Lamely here with episode number 13 of From Grove to Glory, and as you can see today we are back at Munich, the third time this season we've been to Munich. We've not had the best of seasons as far as Munich goes. I say as far as Munich goes, we picked up 4th place with George Russell the first time. He didn't get anywhere near anything in the last race. Kubica picked up a 10th place in the first race. Alonso picked up a 10th place in the last race. So I'm hoping we can pick up a slightly better performance this time. Otherwise, not a lot has changed. We're still working on improving the car as much as we can. We're improving the HQ as much as we can. We're doing everything we can. It's also looking a bit like we're going to have a wet quali and a wet race, which could be interesting in terms of setups and things. So yeah, I think what we're going to do though, just to save some time on the video, because the weather's been going hour plus recently, I think we're going to skip quali and we're just going to go straight into the race. So do the usual where I'll take the biggest bonus. Tyre selection wise, we'll see what the auto pick says. It's saying very low tyre wear. So I'm gonna gamble on a dry stint and just put as many hard tyres in the package as I can. I think it feels like a 636 kind of race. All the parts should be the newest parts. So let's get into it. Let's see what we can do. So the one time I decided not to show you guys qualifying, we have the best qualifying session of the season so far. Q1 you can see there, Danny Ricciardo was the top of the eliminated. Sainz, Kvyat, Norris and Albon all out first qualifying session, pretty dramatic. Lance Stroll came top of the timesheets in that session, just for the record. Q2, Gasly, Vettel, Bottas, Rahal and Hamilton all gone. So a lot of the big names starting behind us, as you can probably figure out. We finished 1-2, Russell and Alonso in that session, because it's been a bit up and down with the weather, a bit all over the place. And then finally in Q3 you can see Charles Leclerc is on pole, Romain Grosjean is second, George Russell third, Verstappen fourth, Hulkenberg fifth, Alonso sixth, Perez 7th, Giovinazzi 8th, Raikkonen 9th and Alonso 10th. If someone had told you there'd be a Grand Prix where the front row was Ferrari Haas, the second row was Williams Haas, the third row was Renault Williams and so on and so forth, you'd think I was mental. But that's what we're about to watch. So let's get into the race, shall we? Into the race then, and we're going to be running something of a split strategy on this one, because as you can see from the radar, the weather radar, you might just be able to make out we're expecting some rain somewhere between about lap 37 and lap 40. Now Fernando, it tells me, can get 41 laps from a set of hard tyres. It's telling me that George can get 18 off a set of softs. So George is going to go softs to mediums. He's going to push pretty much the whole time. Fernando's just going to try and ride out a one stop to the rain, at which point hopefully we will be in with a decent chance of picking up some good points. That's the hope. This is the grid again. Let's see if anyone's got anything they need to worry about. I don't think anyone's doing anything too dramatic. There's a couple of guys on mediums. Maybe trying to stretch a medium stint into the rain. Kimi's got an injury. So yeah, some big strategies. Danny Ricciardo, I think, is going to go for the one stop. Danny Kvyat's going to go for the one stop. All the guys at the back look like they're going one stop, which is probably a pretty smart play, if we're honest. Let's turn the automatic ERS off, because otherwise they'll start immediately going into hybrid mode, because they're 5 laps down on fuel from the start, and we'll see what kind of start we get from this. But I literally said it and it didn't turn off the auto, and so Fernando has gone into hybrid mode straight away to save some fuel, which was not ideal for us. We got George up in third though, we got Fernando up in sixth. It's a pretty good start to the race for us, all things considered. It looks like George is going to try and make an ambitious pass for first. I don't know who just went wide then. Looks like that was probably Seb. I'm guessing that was Seb went wide. Um, George has made the pass into second though, which is absolutely beautiful and puts us in a really good position. I mean, you'd expect Charles Leclerc to walk away with this one. I'm not going to lie, I'm expecting him to disappear rapidly into the distance, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to speed things up a little bit actually because it's going to be a long old race. I was trying to speed the episode up, so we're going to do that. Max Verstappen's making a pass for us into second. A couple of quite quick drivers. The Renaults have been really, really good actually over the season. So have the Haases. They've kind of looked fairly good. Um, but we'll ride this out because George Russell has nothing to be ashamed of with his qualifying position. I don't think it's reflective of the race pace. I think it's reflective of the weather. I think we're going to see the three guys who are in the top three disappear for a while. Sergio Perez might make a pass for us on us as well. You expect Pierre Gasly to start coming through. He's already come through Alonso, but we're going to cross the line and we're going to hit that ERS hard, and we're going to see what we can muster up here because everyone's going to go hard on the ERS, but we need to kind of start pushing as fast as we can. Fernando Alonso attempting a pass on Gasly. He's far too far back to pull that off, especially on the hard tyres. But like I said, we're looking for George Russell to be our guy here. Um, he is, like I said, he's going to be on that aggressive two-stop. So we'll see what happens. He's pushed his way back up into third past Romain Grosjean. He definitely looks like he's up for a race. So we'll see what we can do to start making a difference now because this is one of those races where we could just through strategy sneak our way into a really, really good points finish. As long as we can keep Grosjean behind us is going to kind of be the key. Although we're definitely going with, like I said, a very aggressive two-stop with George Russell. I think he's probably going to hope for the undercut is kind of what we're looking for here. With 52 laps of this 54 lap race remaining. But we'll see what's happened. I think George just put in the fastest lap of the race, which is always encouraging. Let's speed things up because we're kind of in a nothing happening position. I think maybe it's hard to decide. Fernando has already got Lewis Hamilton on the back of him. Lewis, I believe, started in 13th, so he's had a brilliant start. Seb Vettel has recovered well as well. So like I said, we're really just kind of racing to that rain that looks like it's coming somewhere around the end of the race. We have to keep an eye on that weather radar because if it's only a flash of rain, like a little flash of rain, we're going to have to swap Alonso onto a set of softs. And likewise, if it looks like it's only going to be a few laps of rain, then George is going to go onto a set of hards. So it's definitely going to be about management of tyres. It looks like Alonso's tyres are going to start dropping off, which is unhelpful. He's already starting to drop back a lot of places. He doesn't look like he's made any mistakes. So again, it's going to be a tough one. I'm going to start dropping George's tyres back to neutral for a little while, just to cool them off. We need to try and really get some heat into Fernando's though, otherwise he is not going to go the difference. He's currently defending 13th from Graham Rahal, but he's taken 12th from Valtteri. Let's go see what he's doing, because George is pretty much only got Grosjean to defend from. Grosjean will probably take him very quickly, so we need to see what Fernando can do, because if Fernando can get some heat into those tyres, I think things are going to look really, really promising. I don't want to push too much on them though, because we do need him to get to that rainy period. So I'm going to kind of keep an eye on the radar. It looks like the rain is going to stick around towards the end, so it's very much going to be a case of just trying to get Fernando to the crossover point on these tyres, which is not impossible. He's good enough to do it. It says he's defending 12th from Graham Rahal. We can see Graham Rahal is nowhere near him. Roman Grosjean has fallen back by about 2 seconds from George, which is something we definitely like to see. Fernando is trying to make a pass on Bottas. It says we're defending from Rahal, but Rahal is not really getting near us. Alonso's about to pass Bottas, is he? No, not quite. He has got him. He got him unexpectedly. Let's give a bit of a push to George Russell as well. See what he can do. Can Alonso get himself back into the points though? That's the big question. He's got Lance Stroll up next. There's not really much heat going into those tyres. I just want to check how many laps it thinks he's got left on them, because otherwise we're going to have issues. 34, that's not quite going to get us. Oh, that should get us to the crossover point. We will keep an eye on his tyres through the race because we need him to get to lap 40 for certain. I mean, he's good enough to be able to stretch out a set of tyres. It is Fernando Alonso if he needs to. So we'll see. We'll give him a bit of a boost just to see if we can get him on the back of Lance Stroll again. Because apparently he's currently defending from Graham Rahal again. Rahal has got past Valtteri Bottas. I said when they signed him that Rahal was going to be a good pickup for the Red Bull team, and he's proving it. I mean, Russell now is going to be defending from Lewis very shortly. So I think we're going to switch back over, see how long he can hold out against Lewis. I would suspect probably not as long as you'd hope, but also he's probably going to be due a pit stop anytime in the next 2 or 3 laps. So, like I said, it's going to be very, very much a case of tyre management, of good pit strategy. I need to keep an eye on this. 31 laps, 11 gone, that's okay. We're heading to the point where I need to stop Fernando pushing those tyres quite so much. Like I say, George is making a good push. He is holding off Hamilton for now, but it's going to be commentator's curse, I'm sure, because he'll take him in the next couple of corners, if not over the start-finish straight, because there's only so much you can defend against a multi-time world champion. Although he's just stretched that lead back out again, so we might just see. Fernando, we are going to drop back on the tyres. In fact, he's burning fuel rather than burning tyres, because I was not paying attention. So we'll go back to doing that. Going to give George a little bit of a push, see if we can get him away from Lewis a little bit. It didn't really work. Lewis kind of responded straight away. George's tyres are worn, so he's got about 2 laps left on them. We're going to see if we can get some more heat into Fernando's tyres and hope we haven't damaged his car too badly. George has dropped down, which was to be expected, and we're going to see what we can do with 1 lap to go until he comes in for fuel. And, well, sorry, for tyres, not for fuel. I don't know what I'm talking about now. I'm having one of those days, guys. One of those days. It's fine. Romain Grosjean's going to try and catch us up now. We are going to tell him to pit this lap. What are we looking at until we've got 26 laps. 26 laps we can do on a set of mediums. So I think we'll do that. How's our parts looking? They're looking okay. We will go for the full charge on the battery. And we're going to go with the quick pit strategy because we've got to kind of take the gamble. We're going to be coming out somewhere around 18th. But we'll be coming out 18th. I'm going to do a little bit of a push on the tyres just to get the most out of them. We'll be coming out 18th, but also we are the first ones that are going to pit, so that might work out to our benefit. We're going to have a lot of clear air opening up in front of us. We'll drop back down now to neutral. We'll see how this pit stop goes. We'll hope it's a good one, error-free. It's looking okay. The rear left has a mistake. Undesirable, but Russell should be able to fight back from there, you'd hope. We'll give him the push on the ERS. I'm not sure how far away he is from the back of 19th place. We'd hope he's pretty close. Let's go back to Fernando. We'll see how Fernando's doing now. He's warming up those tyres. How many laps has he got left on these tyres now? We need him to get another 26 laps. Okay, so this is going to be a case of drop back down to neutral on the tyres. And we're going to have to hope that Fernando can just stretch this stint out because we do need to get to the rain. Lance Stroll, as he's probably about to see some tyre drop off, will give Fernando that push past him, see if he can do something spectacular here. Or he's taking him on the inside. He's looked like he had him. It's going to be a close battle. We've got him. I think we've got him on the inside. There we go. We're through into 9th. Fernando Alonso, currently our lead driver, going for that 1 stop. If I have to bring him in a touch early, I will do. It's looking like it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be inters or it's going to be wets, if I'm honest. It's looking like it's going to be quite the torrential downpour. We're going to have to make a really big decision on what we do from here on out. It might be worth George being the guy who conserves and goes onto a set of wets, because that track looks like it's going to be mostly wets condition rather than inters. But we might find some teams panic, as can happen, and they do 2 stops for wet tyres. So we'll see what we can do here. Getting through it, George Russell's picked up a place, but that's because Hulkenberg has pitted. You're going to expect a few more guys ahead of us to start coming in. Alonso is probably going to catch a few people through the pit cycle. Leclerc looks like he's just going to come out in third, which probably means he's away and clear for the race win. Let's have a look at Fernando's tyres, because they're underheated. What have we got left on them now? 20 laps. That should be enough to get us to the crossover point, and I think we might actually, by the time Fernando's ready to come in, we might be best served going on a set of full wets, which would not be the worst. We're trying to get past Pierre Gasly with George Russell at the moment. I don't know if he's going to have what it takes. We'll go and have a look at him, because although I can just give that little bit of a push to Alonso now, let's see what we can do here. Give it a push. We've got past Carlos Sainz, who is on the back of us. Gasly is ahead, but we can spread that gap a little bit. Maybe we can start giving chase, because Gasly's probably going to have to come in for another pit stop before George does. So we will have to see. George Russell's got low tyre temps and he's seeing graining. Can he start attacking a bit more? I'd rather you didn't, George. We're kind of in a race of attrition here rather than one of where we worry about underheated tyres too much. It's about getting to lap 40. That's the goal. We've got to get to lap 40 and see what we can do. And actually, if things stay as they are in terms of race position, in terms of the gap between the cars, 13 seconds, we could double stack them, to be honest. It's not ideal, but we could double stack, and that would probably be highly beneficial to us, presuming they come in on the same lap. Alonso, I think, is about to take 5th. He hasn't quite made it through to 5th, but it's okay. It's all good. Giovinazzi's still got to stop. Perez still got to stop. He's in a net 4th at the moment. Rahal is probably going to catch him. I think we're going to switch back to Alonso, see what's going on with the big man, as Sainz signals his intention to pit as well. Because there's going to be a couple of guys up ahead of us who are for sure going to have to pit, although we've got to watch out for Graham Rahal behind us. He is certainly good enough to get past us and disappear, although, like I said, he might also be one of those guys that has to make another pit stop before the rain comes. So we will have to see how the other teams manage the rain. That's really, really the question. How do other teams manage the rain? George Russell's got himself up into 16th. Lance Stroll has crashed with a yellow flag in Sector 3, which hopefully won't bring out the safety car, because that would be probably disastrous for our race in terms of teams ahead of us getting in that free pit stop. But we'll have to see what happens. It doesn't look like we're going to get a safety car, so we've survived that one. We'll give George that little bit of ERS boost. We're going to give Fernando some ERS boost as well, because he needs to start pulling that gap away from Rahal. Otherwise, we'll all be in a world of trouble. I'd say things are going fairly well. We're riding in 5th now. George Russell seems to be carving his way through the field. We'll go and have a look, see what he's doing. He is just catching up on the back of Alex Albon, who is on a set of hard compound tyres and is due for a stop. He's definitely 2-stopping. So that should be a free place. We've just taken Perez, who has just gone onto a set of used softs, which is certainly an interesting gamble. We've taken Nico Hulkenberg, who seems to be struggling, and now we're still on the back of Alex Albon, which is not the place we want to be. We're going to hit the ERS again, see if we can get some kind of catching up going on within a second of him, which is not the worst place to be, and we are catching fairly quickly. 0.7. Fernando's reporting worn tyres, which is not good. How long are these tyres got left on them? Another 10 to 12. Oh, it's going to be really, really questionable. 10 to 12 might just get him in, but we will have to see. We'll have to really keep an eye on Fernando and his tyres. Graham Rahal's going to have to make another stop. Ricciardo is just behind him as well. He'll probably have to make another stop. It is going to come down to who can do the most with what they have left, I think. Try and get George back past Nico. Can we get him there? Probably not. Nico looks like he's on a bit of a tear right now. He's trying to make his way back into the points, which certainly isn't impossible for him. I am slightly worried about Fernando, but again, we're just going to have to keep using the ERS, burn up as much of that as we can, keep Ricciardo behind us, because Ricciardo is on a mission, but I think on the same strategy as us, so that should be okay in the long term. Although we do have to keep an eye on Alonso's tyres, because I mean we've got what, about somewhere between 6 and 9 laps to the rain, which is not looking desirable. But like I said, it's genuinely just a case of this is our best bet is to get away with a one-stop strategy. So the longer we can push Alonso on these tyres will go down to about 0%, and still have some kind of pace left in them. So that's not the biggest issue. Like I said, the big issue here is going to be getting to lap 40. Getting to lap 40 is the one. Danny Rick seems to be dropping off, which is certainly not a big problem. George is within striking distance of the points. I think if when Danny Kvyat comes in for his stop, George will find himself back in the points. We're seeing it start to get a bit cloudy, which is interesting. We are sort of 13 maths in my head. 5. It's about 6 laps away, I think. About 6 laps to the rain. How long has Fernando got left on these tyres? He should be able to get them 6 laps. I think he can do 6 laps. I believe in Fernando Alonso getting 6 laps. Danny Rick is about to do a pit stop, which should be okay. It will release Seb Vettel onto the back of us, which we don't particularly want, but would be interesting. Danny Rick's coming out on a set of softs, so he's pretty much out of this race, as long as we can get Alonso to that point where the weather starts changing, which looks like it's coming up fast. We should be able to get there just about, and I don't mind bringing him in a touch early for the set of inters if I have to. I mean, the second I see rain, he's coming in for inters. That's pretty much the score here. Same with George, actually. George will be coming in for inters. I'm going to try and get the fuel back up on Fernando, because we do need him to, conserve a little bit of fuel, but I don't want to put him into a conserve engine mode, because that will go badly for us. I'm happy to let Seb go, because I know Seb needs to make another stop. We do need to still make sure of those tyres, though, which is we're within 3 laps. We're within 3 laps of that rain period starting. So this should be something special, and that should bring the fuel levels just about even. There we go. We'll give him that ERS push to help him get through a few more laps of this. When is the rain is coming? The rain is coming. That is absolutely perfect timing. Because I think Fernando can benefit by being the first one to come onto the inters. 18 laps of inters, 18 laps of the race to go. In fact, let's do one more lap, because I think his tyres can handle it just about. I think that one more lap is going to make the difference. Nico has come in though, so he might get the advantage here, but I think there's going to be a benefit to not having to save tyres to the end, which that's the gamble I'm taking, that there will be a benefit on not saving tyres until the end. Gearbox is warm, whilst they're adding 10 seconds to the pit stop. We cannot really afford to add 10 seconds to the pit stop. We can't afford not to, though. That's the trouble. I think we're going to have to risk it. We are going to have to take the risk. Might have ruined his race a little bit, but I think that's going to depend heavily on what goes on here. Do that last push. George can actually burn his tyres through this lap because that will help him immensely. We're currently sitting in third. Lewis has already gone on to Inters, so he is definitely away and clear. So is Charles Leclerc. It is going to be between those two for the race win. That much we can say for certain. George needs to mind his own business because I can't help him. Why is that not speeding up? There we go. Yeah, he needs to kind of suck it up a little bit. We're doing a good in lap for him. Hopefully that gap will be fine. We will see what his parts are looking. He's looking like he's okay. We're going to add a full tank of battery to him. We're going to do a balanced pit stop. I don't want any mistakes for George. And we are very much going to hope that what we do here is pull through. Let's speed through to the pit stop because that's going to be important. You'd expect Verstappen and Vettel to get past us in this pit cycle. There should be enough time, even if there is a mistake, for us to get Alonso and Russell in and out. We will hope. If not, I'm going to ruin both my drivers' races here. But actually I do have time to make sure I stop his pit stop if there is an error. So that should be okay. Although I've said that now, he's going to come into the pit lane more or less now. Let's get this gearbox done. Let's get it done. We are going to be in the pit lane now. And this is going to be close. It's going to be really close. Right, we've got Alonso out before Russell stopped. That's actually far better than I could have hoped for, and it looks like we've got a bit of a free pit stop actually, because everyone is coming in 4 tyres right now. Although there's been 2 mistakes on George Russell's car. He cannot get a break. He's having nothing but errors today. 5-second pit stop for him, and let's put this on neutral. We're going to get him to the end of the race now. We'll give Alonso the big push. Because he needs to do something more impressive. Hulkenberg has already done a lap on Inters. Let's hope George rejoins the track ahead of Giovinazzi. He won't, but he has rejoined the track, so that's actually okay. And actually, to be fair, it doesn't look like Giovinazzi took any ERS on, so this might have worked out. We might just have made this work. Like I said, if we can get both cars in the points, I'd be quite happy, because we have been lacking 4-point scoring finishes recently. We've got 15 laps remaining. What's left on these tyres? 16. I think we're going to be golden for the rest of this race. I think it's going to be just a case of who can get to the end fastest. We know Alonso is good in the wet. We've done the one stopper, which is certainly going to help, because otherwise we would be solidly 20 seconds back. Well, in fairness, because we had to take the extra gearbox, maybe not. Maybe that's cost us a little bit. I mean, 15 seconds up the road would have put us 5th, which, you know, would be advantageous, but we should be okay. We've hit the low fuel delta with Fernando, but we should make it all the way to the end. George Russell has dropped out of the top 10. He's let Rahal past him. We didn't want that to happen. In fact, we definitely don't want that to happen. Let's keep an eye on George Russell. I did say some guys might come in for a second pit stop, and we're seeing people coming in for wet tyres now. I don't know if there's any benefit to going on to wet tyres, because you'll have to switch back to winters again afterwards. I think that's a strategic error. I could be wrong, because as we all know, my strategy is never my strong suit. Okay, we're going to lose Verstappen and Vettel for a few laps, but I don't know if any of the other guys who might stop ahead of us are going to gain any benefit from doing this. It doesn't look like Leclerc or Hamilton are going to come in, or it might, although it might be a game of who blinks first. We've got to keep an eye. Actually, keep an eye on George Russell, because Pierre Gasly is going to be coming up behind him quickly. But like I said, this is only going to last a few laps, I think, and then we should start seeing it drop down. So maybe we've, I don't know. It all depends how much better the pace is of the cars on wets versus the cars on inters, because Leclerc and Hamilton are free and clear. They're off and they're gone. It looks like we're probably going to lose a couple of places, but it's a case of, do we have enough time ahead of Giovinazzi and Rahal? Actually, Rahal is going to be an issue. It's 14 seconds. I think these tyres are going to start coming back to us towards the end of the race, though. And I think maybe being on wets would have been a bad strategy choice. But, you know, it's always a gamble. When you've got changeable weather, it's always a gamble. I'm going to keep an eye on Alonso because I want to see how he manages the gap over the next few laps. Gasly should be catching him really, really fast. How long can we get off these tyres now? We've got 9 laps left of the race, effectively. I don't want to push the tyres more than I have to because I do need them to switch back on at the end of the race. That is going to be absolutely vital that they switch back on. Danny Rick ran wide, which has probably saved George Russell's race. Rahal is catching him up though, which is also an issue. It's tense. It's going to be a tense race to the end. But I don't know. I've just got some faith. I've got some faith these tyres are going to switch back on. Gasly is going to come through. George Russell's tyres are underheated. We know his tyres are underheated. I expected that to happen. Gasly, we're just going to have to let him go. Probably Grosjean as well, who's going to come through at pace. But there we go. I mean, the track is going to start drying out again because the weather has... I mean, it stopped. It stopped raining. We're expecting maybe a touch of rain at the end. But that has stopped now. George Russell, I think, can go for a push. And we'll see if we can get him back past Danny Rick. But I think when we see the tyres come back in the last few laps, I think we're going to be okay. I think the wets are going to be less effective. Also, I think the fact that everyone else is on wets bar us and the leaders is probably going to dry the track out faster than you'd expect. So they're probably helping us to get back into the race. So they're making stops again. They're having to make stops again to get themselves back out into some kind of position of competitiveness. So yes, they are going to be on fresher tyres. I mean, Gasly's come out just behind Russell. He's in a faster car, but I don't know. I think we've got enough about us to hold on. And that's going to be the key. I think Alonso can definitely hold on to 5th. Russell can probably just about hold on to top 10, which is going to be absolutely fine for us. Just keeping an eye on the gap behind Alonso. It's 13 seconds. There's 4 laps to go. Things are starting to dry out though, and I think it's definitely benefited us not coming in for the wets because everyone's had to make that extra stop. That's bought us places, a lot of places, bought us a lot of time over a lot of people behind us. So we may have just about managed to construct a successful strategy. George is getting some warnings about a few parts. We can tell Fernando that he can have control over his ERS. We can tell George the same. We'll let them just race their own way now. And we can pretty much see this one through. Let's just have a quick look, see what parts are worrying him. Everything is starting to drop off. His gearbox is about to go. Fernando his front wing is going, but that should be okay. He's currently defending 7th from Romain Grosjean. Hopefully he'll have the good sense to use his ERS to keep his place ahead of him, but let's not count anything out. Got a worn tyres report. I expected worn tyres. I think maybe it's going to cost us a place with Gasly and with Grosjean, but hopefully nobody else should be able to get past us. As we get to the end of this tyre cycle, we should be okay. We've got 2 laps to go now. George Russell's going to start dropping places. Hopefully he won't drop back as far as Giovinazzi. He's got 10 seconds on Rahal. I am not going to stress. Fernando wants to pit, which would be the dumbest thing I could do right now because we'd end up way back. And okay, Gasly is taking large chunks of time out of us, but we've only really got to survive a couple more laps, so I'm not massively worried. I mean, he's We've got a 7.5 second lead over him. George Russell's got a 3.5, well, 4 second lead over ninth, a 7 second lead over 11th. So I think we're going to be all right on the grand scheme of things. I think we're going to see this one out. We're going to see a double points finish. I don't think Ray Hall can do enough to get himself back into the points unless he starts scrapping with Giovinazzi. Alonso is free and clear. We're on the last lap of the race. That's the win for Leclerc. Hamilton 3 seconds behind. Beautiful strategy game. And now Fernando is going to cross the line in 5th. And George, you would sincerely hope, would have enough to cross the line in 9th. Let's see what he's doing, because there's got to be someone close. There is, but it's Giovinazzi. That's going to be 2 points for George Russell, and 8 points for Alonso. That's all right. That's a 10-point haul for us in the Constructors' Championship. That has worked out pretty well for us in the grand scheme of things, and that was a pretty good race, boys. I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, if you've enjoyed the racing action today, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're new around here, ring the bell for notifications, and we'll start wrapping things up. Okay, guys, so that was a whole bunch of fun. You can see we have got the we've got the next race coming up in 10 days. It's going to be the Grand Prix at Spa. Let's go into the standings just so you can see what's going on. George Russell is still sat at 11th on 215 points. Kubica still sits at 14th with 15 points. But Alonso is in 16th with 11 points, so he is going to prove that I was right to take him on ahead of Kubica, I think. In the Constructors, we're still sitting 7th. Things are looking okay. We are pretty much into the business end of the season now. Top speed, low speed, corner acceleration are going to be crucial for this, but it's going to be another wet race, which means I've got time to play strategy games with the AI. We have got, counting in my head, 9 rounds left of the season, so you know, I don't expect us to start competing for the World Championship all of a sudden because we're 220 points behind Hamilton. But you know, back into the season could work out alright. We're still working on the car, we're still working on the HQ, we're still doing some scouting. Things could be okay. So, like I said, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. I will see you very soon. I've been Chasing Lamely. Have a good one.